3, 2, 1, go. It's 3:21 a.m. here in Perpignan, France, and feeling aligned with the time in the land of America, which is about 9 p.m. on the East Coast right now, and feeling I need much less sleep than ever before, about 3 or 4 hours per night, so it's nice and quiet. 3 a.m. is also the time when the endogenous DNT spikes in the brain. So utilizing this activation in my pineal gland to help facilitate anyone out there connecting to this group of consciousness, pixels of consciousness uniting in this now moment, this discussion, because this is a discussion. I'm connecting with you all. I'm learning from you all simultaneously as you hear my words. The words, thoughts, and image of my beingness is merely a portal to connect anyone watching this video at this now moment. So, just constructed this octahedron earlier, being one of the platonic solids, 8 sides, each side a triangle, the exact same proportions, being within the fruit of life, aka Metatron's cube, one of the 5 platonic solids that comes through that form that I showed in a prior video, the beginnings, the most recent video, the last video, in the sacred geometry section. But this is going to be a physics discussion about the many worlds interpretation. But just to show you, toothpicks and a beeswax candle. I bought the toothpicks from the local Carrefour supermarket, and I got the beeswax candle from a lovely little cafe that had crystals and things like sage and Palo Santo. So this is phase conjugate in nature because the materials help facilitate plasma to vortex within it. The shape itself and the materials being 100% natural, and they have a high dielectric, which is to say that the energy the plasma can successfully spiral vortex through, and we can choose materials that not only allow the plasma to vortex through, but even assist it by accelerating the speed at which the plasma can vortex. And by accelerating that speed, allowing that charge to pass through, something called charge permissivity, then it allows that plasma vortex to gain centripetal force, just like Dan refers to the ice skater. When she pulls her arms in and her legs in, she speeds up because she's closer to the center point of the spiral vortex. Now, if we were to put a phase conjugate coding on this and also expand the sacred geometry outward, because this octahedron is the center seed of the star mother formation, which is the dominant sacred geometric structure all in our universe, in our reality, all around us. And the formation of the star mother starts with an octahedron, and then it has 2 tetrahedrons, which is also known as a star tetrahedron, and then that is enclosed in a cube, also known as a hexahedron, which is enclosed in a dodecahedron, followed by an icosahedron, followed by a dodecahedron. So octahedron, star tetrahedron, cube, dodecahedron, icosahedron, dodecahedron. And my goal is to continue to build this as I learn about the proper dimensions of each platonic solid that continues to create this nest. Now, and this is sort of just this is not related actually to what I'm about. Well, it's all related, of course, but this is sort of just a side note to what I'm going to talk about next. But if we were to put a phase conjugate coding on this, which is, again, sounds like a fancy word, it's not really. Basically, it's a coding that's going to allow that plasma vortex to increase its speed even more as it gets to the center. If we were to put a phase conjugate coding on this, it then has the ability to receive more life force and therefore generate more life force out of it. Because if we just want to think of phase conjugation in simple terms, all it really means is that if you have a plasma vortex coming down, say for example the consciousness, the soul, the plasma vortexing into the body, the stronger that this plasma vortex comes down into the body, the stronger it will come out, because phase conjugation is like, you look at a line of symmetry, and the line of symmetry is where the location of Planck, the tiniest unit of measurement in the universe, the Planck point of implosion at the bottom of that plasma vortex spiraling down to Planck at that line of symmetry. Basically, phase conjugation refers to the fact that that plasma vortex will then mirror, it will spiral back out the exact same way that it spiraled in. So if we allow it to strongly vortex into the body, such as the soul being in the body, a person being fully consciousness, fully aware in every now moment, strong plasma vortex coming in means strong plasma vortex coming out. And then that results in all of the chakras being harmonized and aligned with one another. It means that the energy can come through all the chakras, all the meridians, and the energy can flow really well in the body, and the person can be fully aware, fully consciousness. I like the word hyperlucidity, and sometimes I put my intention into having hyperlucidity, and everything becomes really clear. And it's basically like saying with my beingness, I want to be fully present here in this moment, and I want to be really present, and I want my soul to strongly vortex into my body. So that's just sort of an overview. I just was having fun with this month topic of, how phase conjugate physics, the physics of life, is remapping, reshaping our entire beingness as we speak, our entire reality. Every aspect of human life is currently being reshaped as we speak by this incredible new branch of physics that most physicists on the planet are just simply not yet aware of. They just haven't gotten word yet. And one of my missions here now is to help spread the awareness of this gorgeous Planck fire formula discovered by Dan Winter. And, Einstein looked for it, Tesla looked for it, Stephen Hawking's, all the best physicists in the world knew it was there somewhere. They knew it must exist. This formula that unifies the very tiny with the very large, the micro with the macro, unifying quantum physics with physics that study the large phenomena of the galaxies in the universe. So they knew there's a unifying formula. They searched high and low. I feel, by opening our minds and being able to see things in our mind's eye and connecting with our creative side, uniting it and merging it with the logical side, harmonizing the divine male with the divine female, then we can see these things in our mind. We can tap into our artistic, creative sides and see in our mind's eye how a plasma vortex, what that looks like in our mind's eye. If everything's theoretical and formulas with pencil and paper, is very mathematical, it's very logic brain, it's stuck in the mind. And again, by putting our intention into that plasma vortexing all the way through our body strongly, we tap into our abilities to see with our mind's eye, to see what's there, to just tap in with our consciousness across time and space to what exists. So Dan was clearly able to do that in a way that many others were not. And this is really a moment of celebration for humanity. It's an incredible time to be alive because we're at the brink of an incredible world revealing itself. Now, that brings me to what I want to go over today, the main topic of conversation, but just was having fun constructing this earlier. And if you have something like a beeswax candle or another source of beeswax, you can just break off little pieces here and just warm it up with your hands, and toothpicks, or I found these little skewers, and I'll be measuring them and then snapping them at the right length. So I imagine there's materials in your house right now, or I found paper straws at the restaurant the other day and toothpicks and made a little tetrahedron with that. Objects from nature, maybe sticks in nature. Wow. Powerful. Power of what is all around us all the time, ready for us to work with what is already here. And now, what is already here? So my Portuguese lyrics of the Brazilian song I'm learning. My roommate Michael is helping me learn the pronunciation. One of my favorite songs by Jorge Ben. So, and this is the star tetrahedron that revealed itself in the video I made yesterday, going over the fruit of life, which is also known as Metatron's cube. 13 circles, each connected to each other by a straight line. And in this one, I didn't connect all the points because I wanted to clearly demonstrate the tetrahedron. So in another video, I will be doing the same thing, but showing how the octahedron reveals itself by drawing the fruit of life. And my goal is to isolate each platonic solid, and there's actually two. Here you can see, well, there's 4 tetrahedrons, 2 star tetrahedrons. Anyway, I digress. Back to the focus, and let me grab a pencil, or I'll do a pen. Let's see here. Okay, I gotta say colored pencils. So I'll do some colored pencils. So the theory that I want to talk about today is the many worlds interpretation. Another physics topic that may sound complicated, but is quite simple and easy to understand. Okay, so many worlds interpretation, abbreviated as MWI. And so really what this is our reality is made up of frames. So each moment in space-time is like a frame in a movie, like a snapshot of reality that can be measured with gravity waves, but that's a whole other topic. This is actually the science behind teleportation. And there are scientists currently on our planet who know how to build teleporters. A lot of this technology is being hidden from humanity, suppressed from the public. We're now ready to have it. If we're ready, if our consciousness is ready, we can start working with these things directly, but using our consciousness to tap into it is actually the most powerful way, and then the technology will follow, of course. So it's important that our consciousness be evolved enough to be able to access technology. Otherwise, we can get ourselves into trouble, and that's where but we are aligning with the highest good for all. So I'm this dot right here. This is, let's say this is my dot of consciousness. And each of these, I have it drawn as a circle, like a two-dimensional circle, but it's a sphere. And each sphere, so this sphere right here, if I were to freeze this moment in space-time, this is my reality, this is my consciousness here, and the sphere representing my projection of this universe, my holographic projection, because as I mentioned earlier in another video, everything outside of us is a holographic representation of everything inside of us. So if we fill our heads and ears, if our thoughts and the words we speak and the things we think about is how we will perceive our reality. We're projecting around us all the time what we experience within. So if we listen to positive music with positive lyrics, those positive lyrics tend to stay in our head more, maybe the way songs get stuck in your head. Well, do you want a positive song stuck in your head, or do you want some random song stuck in your head? And side note on that, I enjoy making my own lyrics to popular songs I might hear on the radio, and then I remember the lyrics that I want to write. But anyway, back to many worlds interpretation. So say this sphere right here, and this sphere right here maybe represents beautiful natural environment with pine trees and lakes and rivers and streams and hot springs and a place where I can go hiking and spend beautiful time in nature. And so if I sit and I picture in my mind's eye a place like that, and I see myself soaking up the sun and enjoying the hot spring and drinking the water from the nearby spring and going on a really nice rigorous hike and moving my body and breathing in the fresh air and smelling all the wonderful smells and having lovely conversation with any other hikers around me or anyone else enjoying that hot spring. If I spend my time envisioning an environment like that, basically what it does is it helps me, and this is just a straight line, but basically it helps me travel from this current frame of reality where I am in the moment to the frame of reality where I'm in that environment. So basically, these are just all frames of reality. And when I envision in my mind's eye that natural environment, I'm basically orienting my consciousness from the current frame of reality that I'm in. It's like a compass, and I'm steering that compass to the path through these spheres, because we can go in any direction we want. And basically I'm just orienting my compass towards the world line where I want to go to, so that my consciousness will move through these frames to arrive at this sphere of reality that I'm envisioning in my mind's eye. So all these frames of reality are all here all the time. That's why the only thing that's real is the present moment. The now is all we ever experience, because the now represents one specific frame of reality. And the future and the past are just sitting there. They're just these frames of reality that exist all the time. And our consciousness is moving through these spheres of reality like a snapshot, just like a movie. When you watch a movie, they are, well, if you think about it in the old days, I'm sure it still works this way to some degree, but back when they would have the reel spinning around in the movie theater, and it would be flipping through individual photographs to create the illusion of movement. The same thing is happening with us. This is an illusion of moving through time and space just by stitching together snapshots of reality. that can be represented numerically with gravity waves, because really everything in existence is a plasma vortex, which is a whole, we don't necessarily need to get into that, but everything in our reality is made up of plasma vortexes. That's why it's such an important concept to understand. So it does feel appropriate to go into teleportation, because essentially this is what I'm explaining to you. By utilizing our inner eye, our third eye, our mind's eye, sitting and closing our eye, whether it's before you go to bed, right when you get up, whether you're meditating during the day, whether you're just sitting on the bus, like picturing something in your mind, or you're walking down the street but you're picturing something in your mind, it all will lead to the same outcome. It's basically just honing our vision into the reality we want to create for ourselves. We are the author of our own story all the time. Whether we allow someone else to write our story for us, that's totally our free will choice. Plenty of people, they're like, oh, that's too much work. I just want someone else to write my story. And then they just go along with the story being written for them. However, that's just allowing someone else to be your ghostwriter and saying, oh, okay, go ahead, you write my story. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but basically just allowing someone to be the author of the story. Once we realize that we're the one that we have the capability to write our own story, if we so choose to take that power into our own hands, take our power back, then we can focus on the world that we want to live in, focus on the life that we want to have in that world, focus on the type of people we want to be around, what is the type of environment we want to be in, what's something we want to learn, what's something we want to excel at. And we see that in our mind's eye, and we know for a fact that that world line, that sphere, that this snapshot of reality and the world line path to get to that sphere of reality, it all exists all the time. It's all here all the time. Our consciousness can basically create any reality that it wants. And then by focusing on the reality we want to create for ourselves, the compass of our consciousness orients the direction we need to go to arrive there. I've wanted to live in France for decades, maybe 20 years or more, since I started learning French at age 11. I thought, wow, that would be so wonderful to live in France. And every time I thought that, it was like I was seeing myself live in France in my mind's eye. I was orienting my compass of my consciousness to where I would someday arrive there. And here I am. And many other dreams are coming true for me, but they're things that I've thought about for many, many years and seeing myself doing them for many, many years. So our intention is like, creating something in our reality. We need to put intention, we need to see it in our mind's eye, we need to believe it can come true, and then it's like charging a battery for that event to happen or for us to be able to live in that place. Okay, so teleportation. All right, so just go for it. Basically, because everything around us is made up of plasma vortexes, 99.99% of the universe is hydrogen existing in a plasma state, and this plasma takes the form of vortexes on the cellular level, on the molecular level, on the atomic level. It's all plasma vortexes. And that's why learning the sacred geometry that is all around us, if we could just put on special goggles, we would just see sacred geometry all around us. And so sacred geometry is like basically like perfected nest that is sort of like the frame for the plasma to vortex into. And the plasma vortexes can be measured as gravity waves. So each one of these world lines has specific gravity waves associated with it that can be numerically measured with certain devices. I'm not even sure what they are, but I just know it can happen. So the concept of teleportation is that, like, if we're going to build a device, like a portal that you walk through and then another corresponding portal that you come out of in a different time or place, or both, basically what would be done is you have equipment that measured your body in that current time and space, measured all the gravity waves that make up your body in that time and space, and then also measure all of the gravity waves that make up the time and space around you. They can all be represented as frequencies. And then basically the same thing, the gravity waves of the destination that you want to teleport to, the other corresponding portal where you're wanting to walk through the one portal and come out the other portal, the gravity waves in that exact time and space would also be measured. And so now by isolating the human body gravity waves from the time and space gravity waves of the first portal, basically then you merge the gravity waves of the body with the gravity waves of the desired destination. So isolate the measurements of where you are now, isolate the measurements of the gravity waves of the body from those of the surroundings in that time and space, 2 sets of data, and then basically take the data measuring the human body and merge it with the desired location. That's a very brief overview. I don't have the technical details, so even if I wanted to go into them, I can't, but that's sort of the overview. And it's basically allows a person to maybe jump from here, maybe just jump straight there without having to traverse it. But the more empowering knowledge is how to orient the compass and move through it naturally. This is what we're designed to be able to do it. And so the way to do that is, again, tap into the power of your pineal gland, which is the physical location where you create your reality all the time. When we can see it in our mind's eye and we really believe it's possible, it orients the compass to the location in time space where that is true. I hope that this is making sense. Along those lines, where your focused consciousness is located, that is the Planck center point of a plasma vortex. So if I am thinking of a beautiful place in nature with gorgeous pine trees and lakes and waterfalls and hot springs and just beautiful nature and high vibration energy, just harmonious energy with happy people and beautiful nature all around me. When I see that in my mind's eye, I'm basically bringing my focused consciousness, which is the Planck, the tiniest unit in the universe, tiniest measurable unit. It's where that plasma vortex comes down to the tiniest point and then spirals back out. I'm basically locating it in my third eye. Now, I can locate my consciousness wherever I want. I can say, like, my wrist hurts, so I'm going to focus my consciousness on my wrist so that to help it feel better, self-healing. But it's basically using the power of this consciousness, which is a plasma vortex. It's the center point of focus. We can position that center point of our focused consciousness wherever we want. If I focus it on my heart and I stay in my heart and I continue to come back to heart center by focusing my consciousness, that point of implosion at my heart, then I can move through my heart and then the mind can serve the heart when we're in our mind all the time and we think, oh, I just got to figure this out and I need to spend more time thinking about it. The plasma vortex, it can't come down to the heart center. It really wants to come all the way through the body. And that's why being in a state of unconditional love is really helpful. Putting our intention into wanting the highest good for all is a very positive thing, because what we put out is what we get back. And when I feel my love for everything that is, and just loving it unconditionally, whatever it is, and loving all of creation, that is what I get back. And that assists me to be in my heart center, because just the feeling of love, the act of love, it's essentially focusing the consciousness, center point of implosion, in the heart center, in the heart chakra. Just speaking of the chakras as just energy centers in the body, just locations of energy centers. None of this is woo anymore. We're merging the science with the spirituality. All right, this has been about 30 minutes, but I hope that was enjoyable. And if it wasn't, you should have turned it off as soon as it wasn't enjoyable, so that I don't feel bad about it. Because this is me authentically expressing myself to anyone who wants to hear. And I appreciate that you joined me in this moment with your consciousness. I'm sure I have just as much to learn from you all as you do to me. We're all equally teachers and students. We're all in this together. We're all just tiny pixels of consciousness existing as love, pretending to be, well, we're one consciousness pretending to be separate little tiny pixels of consciousness. But at the end of the day, we're all just part of this one infinite creator that is love. And yeah, so may your life be filled with love, which is the most powerful weapon, always. This is the only thing that's real. And there's a really incredible Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, that speaks lots of words of wisdom and truth and keeps people up to date on current situation in America. And he always talks about staying in the love vibration. And I really love that, those words of wisdom. It's got a nice ring to it. And when we're staying in the love vibration, we're moving from love. And that means we're allowing the plasma to vortex all the way through the body strongly, which it wants to do. The soul wants to come into the body. The human body wants to be fully aware in consciousness. And so putting our intention into allowing that plasma vortex to fully embed and fully inhabit our beingness, we can be more present, we can be more alive, we can receive more love and give more love, and then we can be in service to the greater good. We can give more than we get, and when we give more than we get more than we get. And the cycle just continues and creates more abundance for everyone on all levels. Okay, 33, 11, 12, 13. This seems like a good place to zip my lips. Much love to you all. Thank you for joining me with your beautiful consciousness pixels. And we'll talk to you another time. Later. Bye.